Hello, everyone. The 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 going to start uh, the next public eating episode. Hmm. Finally, insulin. This is an important hormone that controls many bodily processes. It acts mainly as an usher to carry blood sugar into cells to be burned for energy. It also signals the body to store fat under certain circumstances. Sometimes excess blood sugar piles up in your system. Often as a result too of eating too many sugary processed carbohydrates. When this happens, your pancreas churns out even more insulin to lower your blood sugar levels. This leads to high insulin levels in your blood. The cells then sometimes stop responding correctly to your insulin. Over time, your cells stop recognizing insulin, known as insulin resistance, resulting in a rise in both insulin and blood sugar levels. More body fat is stored too. Here's the cool part. There is a magic formula for stopping this internal chaos: resistance training. Because your muscles play an important part in utilizing blood sugar, resistance training makes those cells more sensitive or receptive to insulin. Cells open their doors to insulin, and blood sugar gains entry to provide energy. That dangerous buildup of insulin in the body is resolved, and it protects against one of the most common chronic illnesses, diabetes. Diabetes affects more than 30 million Americans. It's one of the biggest causes of death in modern societies. Muscle mass and raw fitness truth number two. Resistance training should have been invented for women. The fitness industry has been plagued with more myths than ancient Greece. One of the most glaring is that women who weight train will look like Mr. Universe. There are still many women who are sidetracked by this common misconception, thereby avoiding weight altogether and bypassing the opportunity to achieve a beautiful, shapely body. One of the biggest differences between men and women is the hormone levels and how these hormones behave. Most specifically, testosterone. Testosterone bulks up muscle mass in most men. Men have significantly higher testosterone levels than women, and therefore increasing more muscle mass for men is much easier. The vast majority of women they ca- cannot build huge bulging muscles because they have a tiny fraction of the testosterone found in men. There are so many benefits to resistance training for both men and women, but the some but some of the benefits are very specific to women's health. For women, the truth is that resistance training increases your metabolism so that you burn fat more easily, and women tend to carry more body fat than men. You build bone mass and prevent osteoporosis, which affects more women than men, and you balance your hormones, which tend to fluctuate wildly in women as they age. Also, women who do resistance training feel a boost in self-esteem and gain renewed physical and mental strength because of their new sexy shape. Resistance training is a woman's best friend. I rest my case. Muscle mass and strength have a tremendous protective effect against diabetes, with one study showing a whopping 32% lower risk of type 2 diabetes in people who have just moderate amounts of muscle mass. This effect was independent of other lifestyle factors, such as frequent drinking and smoking, as well as of obesity and high blood pressure, both of which are risk factors for diabetes. Healthy set X drive. Resistance training is also great for sex. In fact, this was one of the effects that surprised my clients the most, especially my older ones. After about 3 months of training, they would usually bring the subject up in a slightly embarrassed way by, ask, by asking me whether resistance training had any other benefits. How it's my own say. Have you have you noticed an increase in libido, to which they would usually reply, Yes, is that normal? Yes, it's very normal. Testosterone is the main libido driving hormone in men, and studies have consistently shown that resistance training has both a short and long term boosting effect on men's testosterone levels. What about women? Studies show that resistance training has a positive effect on the youth promoting growth hormone GH in women and men. Although not directly a libido driver, low levels of GH have been connected to less energy and overall vitality. So, to feel friskier in the bedroom, do resistance training in your gym. Become more mobile. Mobility refers to the ability to move through four ranges of motion with complete control and stability. It is commonly believed that mobility is equivalent to flexibility. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Only having flexibility without stability and strength dramatically increases risk of injury. Think of a baby. Babies have amazing flexibility, but they lack control and strength. This is why just getting flexible isn't enough. You also need to have strength and control throughout your fullest ranges of motion. Although all forms of activity will improve your functional mobility over being sedentary. Resistance training stands head and shoulders above them all. Most activities are limited and involve repeating similar movements over and over again. Example: walking involves the legs in a very specific way and neglects the upper body and the core. It is also limited to forward movement with the little twisting, bending over, rowing, pressing, backward movement, and squatting, just to name a few. All forms of exercise, besides resistance training, have this problem. Resistance Proper resistance training involves four ranges of motion with resistance. You are encouraged to move in all kinds of different ways when applied appropriately. You get stronger and more flexible. I can list hundreds of different exercises that can be used in a resistance training routine. Each one of them strengthening the body in different ways. This results in a body that can move more freely with stability. In the next chapter, you'll learn techniques to improve your mobility. Less pain. It's true that modern medicine has invented pills for everything, from flu to high blood pressure to diabetes. But the sad fact is that there are still hundreds of ailments that cause doctors to simply sit back, scratch their heads, and say, I have no idea. I have no idea what's wrong with you. Apparently, one of the biggest head scratchers around is chronic pain. You hurt, but no one can figure out why, nor can they fix it. The typical solution to prescribe painkillers, which is not a long-term solution. Here's, here's the deal. Most of the chronic pain in modern societies is not the result of an acute injury or overwork. It is mainly a result of an immobile lifestyle. We sit at desks and look at computer screens. Our body molds to fit our cells, with hip flexors getting tight, core muscles weakening, and other muscle weakening adaptations. Truth, we don't halt because we move too much. We halt because we move too little. Many people suffer from pain that comes from poor movement patterns due to weak muscles. Muscles move and control your joints. Your joints can move in optimal and suboptimal ways. Properly strengthening the muscles that control them helps to ensure you move the right way. Allowing your body to become weak means your body has to compensate. You give the command to walk or sit or stand or run, and your brain tells your body to move in the most efficient way possible. If a muscle is too weak to do its job properly, then other muscles will jump in. The result is poor movement in joints that suffer excessive wear and tear. You feel pain. Resistance training is extremely versatile and can be molded to fit almost any person's needs. This is not true of other forms of exercise. You can specifically target movement patterns and muscles with resistance training, making it the best way to get your body to move well. Regardless of your particular movement pattern issues, this is why physical therapists use resistance training almost exclusively with their patients. Strong bodies are also less prone to injury. The stronger your back and supporting core muscles are, the less likely you will suffer from low back pain. Getting strong the getting strong the right way means you move better, and moving well means less pain. In the next chapter, I will share with you some surprising and natural ways to resolve chronic pain, particularly back pain. Achieve better cognition and mood. Another one of the most common comments I've heard from clients is how their workouts had positively influenced their mind. They felt sharper, could think faster, and were more clear headed. Exercise in general has a profound positive effect on cognitive function. Working out increases levels of brain derived neurotropic factor BDNF in the brain. BDNF acts like a kind of brain fertilizer, promoting the growth of brain tissue, and it helps preserve the health of your brain. High levels of BDNF have been connected with lower rates of cognitive decline in brain-related diseases such as dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and even Parkinson's disease. Studies consistently connect physical activity with improved cognition. Speaking of Alzheimer's, I've got some good news to insert here. Australian researchers have, for the first time, shown that resistance training can protect the parts of the brain vulnerable to this devastating disease. The University of Sydney study published in published in Neuroimage Clinical revealed that 6 months of resistance training slowed and even halted the degeneration in the hippocampus and is associated re- and its associated reasons a year after the exercise trial. The study involved 100 people at huge risk for Alzheimer's disease because they were showing a decline in, in memory and other thinking skills. They performed 90 minutes of supervised strength training using dumbbells, weights, and machines each week for 6 months. After the study, their cognitive deficits improved greatly. The senior researcher, Michael Valenzuela, said it was the first intervention that slowed or halted brain deterioration, and that it was clear that resistance training needed to be part of dementia reduction strategies. To date, no other form of exercise has been shown to do this. Resistance training is particularly special in the brain boosting department because of its benefits for proprioception, that is, your awareness of your body in space, due to the thousands of resistance training exercises and the variations of each that are available. You can train your body in an almost infinite combination of directions, speeds, and ranges of motion. This trains your brain as much as it trains your muscles. Whenever I'd get a new client, I'd have them fill out a health questionnaire. It probes about exercise history, daily physical activity, sleep quality, the presence of gut and digestive issues, diet, and what they generally eat and drink, use of alcohol or drugs, and general health history questions. But it also asks whether the new client has ever been treated for depression or anxiety. Those questions were very telling. I was always shocked to discover how many people have suffered from either or both of those ailments. Statistics verify this fact. 7 to 10% of Americans suffer from mild to moderate depression, while surveys show that 40% of Americans are feeling more anxious now versus last year. Some professionals are saying we are in the middle of an anxiety and depression epidemic. Exercise is a fantastic treatment for taking the, the blahs. Studies comparing exercise to antidepressants show them to be at least equally effective as treating the symptoms of mild to moderate depression, with some professionals saying that exercise is a better long-term overall solution due to its wide range, wide-ranging health benefits. Resistance training is one of the best forms of exercise for this kind of depression and anxiety because it forces people to be more present. Whereas you can get lost in thoughts or even think about stressful events while you're walking or running. You must stay present while lifting weights. Resistance training is not like other forms of exercise in which you do the same movements repeatedly over and over. Due to their high skill and high resistance, you must stay focused on your form and technique during resistance training. It is not just repetitive movement. Having resistance training to your exercise routine can positively impact these important areas of your life. Reverse the aging process. Here's a no-brainer kind of question. Do you want to live longer and healthier, or die younger and sicker? Doesn't take much time to think that our novel does it. Let's adjust that. Let's start with the basics. Living longer, better, starts with starts with not dying. And physical strength just happens to be an excellent predictor of longevity. Using data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, a team at Indiana University assessed 4,400 for 40 adults that is postpartum depression with resistance training. During and after your pregnancy, many changes occur in your body, both mentally and physically. The both of you are tired in the new role of a mother can sometimes bring on various negative emotions such as uncertainty, fear, anxiety, depression, or sadness. After giving birth, many new moms develop the baby blues, medically known as postpartum depression. It may affect both yours and your newborn's health. That is why it is so important to find natural factors that can ease this kind of depression. Fortunately, one factor stands head and shoulders above the rest: resistance training for four reasons. One, it saves time. Having a newborn is time consuming. Life becomes even more hectic, especially if you have other children to take care of. You can barely carve out time for yourself. Problem solved. Resistance training has that. All right. uh, we ate some for August today, and the and we're getting closer the next chapter. And so till the next time.